Among the most important early studies was Thomas K. Harvey's The Book of Christmas, 1836. It was notable not only for its in-depth history and evaluation of the English Christmas, but also for its jolly etchings by Robert Seymour, the first illustrator of the Pickwick Papers, 1836. And there we see footnote number 5. Dickens perhaps knew this book well, the old gentleman depicted by Seymour enjoying Christmas, with a copy of Hervey's book in his hand shows a striking resemblance to that other gentleman, Mr. Pickwick, first drawn by Seymour only a few months later in the first monthly part of the posthumous papers of the Pickwick Club, April 1836. Other scholars tried to preserve the old songs still sung in the country, and there's footnote number 6. Many of the English Christmas customs originated in the country, but by the 16th century, when the nobles spent more time in the cities, the local celebrations lost much of their character. A revival of 1589, begun by the country gentlemen of Norfolk and Suffolk, attempted to save the old traditions with a new emphasis on brotherhood between the poor and the more fortunate. The anonymous author of the chapbook Round About Our Coal Fire, or Christmas Entertainments, 1740, affectionately recounted the former holiday celebrations in the countryside. The rooms were embowered with holly, ivy, cypress, bays, laurel, and mistletoe, and a bouncing Christmas log in the chimney glowing like the cheeks of a country milkmaid. This great festival in former times kept with us so much freedom and openness of heart, that every one in the country where a gentleman resided possessed at least a day of pleasure in the Christmas holy days. The earliest significant collection was Davies Gilbert's Ancient Christmas Carols, 1822. But the most ambitious anthology was that by William Sandys, published in 1832. Sandys, an expert on Cornish customs and one of Dickens' correspondents, found the preserving of the old songs not an easy task. In many parts of the kingdom, especially in the northern and western parts, he explained in his introduction, the festival is still kept up with spirit among the middling and lower classes. Though its influence is on the wane even with them, the genius of the present age requires work and no play. And since the commencement of this century, a great change may be traced. The modern instructors of mankind do not think it necessary to provide popular amusements, considering mental improvement the one thing needful. However, it was an American who best portrayed how the English Christmas still might be preserved. In his description of an old-fashioned Christmas celebrated at Bracebridge Hall, Yorkshire, in the sketch book of Geoffrey Crayon, 1819, Washington Irving, and then there's footnote number 7, another American, Clement C. Moore, added to popular Christmas mythology the common conception of Santa Claus, the holiday patriarch derived in part from Father Christmas, and the legendary St. Nicholas. His An Account of a Visit from St. Nicholas, 1822, is now as much a part of the holiday season as Dickens' A Christmas Carol. By the end of the 19th century, largely through the cartoons of Thomas Nast, this American ghost of Christmas presents became as well known to English children as their own Father Christmas. But as of 1843, when Dickens wrote his story, Moore's poem was not widely known outside the United States. See also Santa Was an American, by Martin Gardner, The New York Times Book Review, December 7th, 1975, pages 8 through 12. Recognize that the old traditions now resemble those picturesque morsels of Gothic architecture which we see crumbling in various parts of the country, partly dilapidated by the waste of ages and partly lost in the additions and alterations of later days. During this holiday, when its tone of solemn and sacred feeling blends with our conviviality, and lifts the spirits to a state of hallowed and elevated enjoyment, the squire of Bracebridge Hall entertained his guests with dances, songs, blindman's buff, an amateur masque, and other amusements in the same good fellowship characterized by the country gentlemen of centuries past. One of Irving's most avid admirers was Charles Dickens, who expressed a particular affection for the doings at Bracebridge Hall. There's footnote number 8. There is no living writer, and there are very few among the dead, whose approbation I should feel so proud to earn, Dickens wrote Irving on April 21, 1841. See Letters of Charles Dickens, National Edition, 1908. And with everything you have written upon my shelves, and in my thoughts, and in my heart of hearts, I may honestly and truly say so. I should like to travel with you, astride the last of the coaches, down to Bracebridge Hall. Although the two authors got along famously during Dickens' American tour of 1842, Irving was offended by Dickens' attitude toward the United States in American Notes, and Martin Chuzzlewit, and so he did not cultivate Dickens' admiration. See Washington Irving and Charles Dickens by W. C. Desmond Pacey, American Literature, January 1945, pages 332 to 339. In his first Christmas work, the short essay, A Christmas Dinner, in Sketches by Boz, in 1836, Dickens shared Irving's sentiment that this day was the season for gathering together of family connections. This sketch described an urban Christmas family party celebrated in a strain of rational goodwill and cheerfulness, doing more to awaken the sympathies of every member of the party in behalf of his neighbor and to perpetuate their good feeling during the ensuing year than half the homilies that have ever been written by half the divines that have ever lived.